Welcome to the Heart of Real Estate podcast with Mike McFarland and Steven Salinas with the Mortgage Mike Group. On the podcast, Mike and Steven discuss with top producing real estate agents what makes them successful, unique, and purpose-filled. Each episode holds a key to unlocking a door to financial freedom.
Hey guys.
Hello. Welcome.
Welcome. We have another episode of the Heart of Real Estate podcast. Thanks so much for coming. You've come to the right podcast if you're looking to learn and grow. Mike, tell us about what the topic of this podcast is today.
Yeah, I would say you're listening to the right podcast if you're looking to grow generational referrals. I think that's the right. Am I saying that right? Yeah.
Looking to grow generational referrals.
Generational referrals. And what does that system and client experience look like that garners those referrals over a lifetime, right? So, yeah. And we have an awesome guest.
Yes, we have an awesome guest. Let's start at the beginning. You're looking around.
Who's that?
Let's start at the beginning before we get into, your business and, what makes you successful. We've got Jason Gracie here with us today. Jason, thanks so much for coming.
Oh, it's entirely my pleasure. I was really honored that y'all would think to bring me up and to ask me to do this. I know I listen to and watch a lot of different podcasts, real estate and otherwise.
Yeah.
So this will be the first time that I'm actually on one, in one, a part of one. So I'm excited.
This will be the first of many, hopefully.
Well, you have such great wisdom to share, so we're really excited to just dive into what you do to take great care of people. So your company is Great Houston Properties,
yes.
Right? How long you been in real estate now?
Since about 2002. My wife actually entered real estate before I did by about 2 years.
Great.
And she joined with her aunt, who I jokingly always say has been in real estate for 800 years. And they said, come on in, the water's fine. You like to talk to people. You're a great salesman, blah, blah, blah. I was running a rather successful video production company at the time. Okay. And I said, I'm good. But the cycle of business, I won't bore you with that whole story, started to make itself apparent. And I thought, well, maybe it's always good to have a backup plan. Got the license, stuck it in my back pocket, helped my wife with her business, her real estate business, as I could. And then kind of slowly made the transition into full-time real estate. And her and I have worked together in one form or fashion for, 20 years now. This is our 20th year.
Fantastic. And I do want to point out that it gave you the freedom to raise your kids, right? In a very unique way, right? That's true. And I mentioned that we were in the business one way or another together. Mm-hmm. Since they pulled me in, sucker. I've always been in, right? But it allowed us the freedom, even when her and I were working more closely together, working clients together, et cetera. We had the freedom to homeschool our kids. And that was and still is very much a blessing. Mm-hmm. Our two oldest, they graduated, right? At 17, our oldest went on to get her master's. And our second oldest, she got her bachelor's and is now in Japan teaching English. And they both graduated from U of H. Go Cougs! Yeah.
So,
amazing.
And then the younger two have been in and out of homeschool in one form or fashion. And the youngest at 16, our little baby, mm-hmm. is being homeschooled now as well. Wow. So it's I could talk the rest of the podcast on the advantages of that. It took about 2 years for my wife to talk me into it.
Yeah.
But then once she has, I just won't shut up. But I will now about.
I love that.
About that. Yeah.
So you have a background in the video production and also background in teaching. You're still currently doing the teach. Are you still doing the teaching?
Well, not really. What do you
for the homeschooling?
For the homeschooling, yes. So we've again. So briefly, I get back to homeschooling. It's not like Little House on the Prairie where there's a chalkboard and kids from 6 to 18 mm-hmm. learning reading, writing, and arithmetic. Right. It is so much more. My largest concern going in was really the social aspects. Mm-hmm. Like, they're not going to be at school.
Yeah, right.
And, oh, my goodness, I was so wrong. They have dances, they have chess club, Lego league, all these other clubs, band, sports, just everything. So that was nipped in the bud. And one of my responsibilities in teaching became music appreciation, which my older daughters just really loved. So I taught them how the roots of music and how these different bands were exposed to these other bands, and et cetera, et cetera. But then we had other people within our homeschooling group. One was literally, I guess still is, a rocket scientist. So she taught that kind of stuff. Wow. And another gentleman was a VP at HP, a lot of P's there, and he taught public speaking. So we really pulled from the experiences and the strengths of others within our group to teach the kids. And then there's online components and Museum of Fine Arts and all the colleges. There's so much support right now. To maybe segue that back into real estate a little bit, you really do need, it does kind of take a village to raise a realtor. So you need to really, I've learned a lot from people that have just came in the business, and I have mentors and others that I've learned from that have been in the business for 800 years and below.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and real estate afforded you the opportunity to give that gift to your children. So, right? I mean, because maybe if you didn't do real estate, that wouldn't have been a consideration.
True. And the moments that I had when I was, they needed their dad home, I was home a lot of times. Yeah. Now, as we realtors know, the phone rings, got to go. And maybe a little later, we'll talk about some things that some new agents or even experienced agents should keep in mind with regards to family and scheduling.
Yes.
But it's afforded me the ability to, hey, let's go to the zoo. Mm-hmm. Hey, let's do this. Hey, let's do that. And carve that time out and make those moments.
That's so great.
I love that. No, I think you have a really great perspective. And how does the video production side, how does the homeschooling, being involved in community, how did that help you create your process for your clients? How did that create the process to grow your business? Because I loved hearing about how you take a client through the process to warrant asking for business. Tell us about that.
That's a great question. Problem solving in video, back in my video days, etc. I would produce and directed videos with ExxonMobil and United Way and several other companies. And you needed to be prepared. You need to solve problems. Like, oh, that light went out. Do you have another light? Do you have another camera?
Right. Do
you have a plan? And it started when I was just, the fetch it guy. They call them production assistants. They have fancier names now, but it's like, go get us some coffee, go get us this, go get us that. And then I realized, one thing that's coming up that we need a lot were clothespins, or just little things. So I would have a fanny pack. It was cool to wear them back then, I guess. And
they're coming back.
I hear they are coming
they're across the chest.
That's right.
Bit more popular.
My son wears kind of a very large one, but so I would carry the kind of things. And then if you ever watched The Price is Right back in the old days, old Bob Barker would say, "Do you have a such and such in your purse?" And she would dig through the purse, and she had it. So I just, I was trying to be prepared.
Yeah.
I'm going to veer off here very quickly to share a story. How did you meet your wife, and how did you guys get married?
Yeah,
so
please do.
I'll skip to the part where we've been dating, and she lives in Austin, so I would drive up there quite a bit. And I had a truck at the time. I still do, not the same truck, that had a rather large kind of glove box in the middle. I kept everything in there. 1,000,000 kilowatt power, light, silverware, ketchups, you name it. I had it in there. And on multiple occasions, she would say, "Oh, do you have a can opener or whatever?" I'd say, "Hold on." I'd open it up, and I had it.
I do.
I did. And she was always amazed. And so one Sunday, we're up in Austin, and we were going to make brunch at her place. And we were started to make some Bloody Marys. And she said, "Oh, man, we don't have any Tabasco." And I looked at her, and she said, no. I had a little 3-pack of they're little tiny. They're like Tabascos this big. And I came back with those Tabascos.
That's hilarious.
That's when I had her.
Right on. Be prepared.
Be prepared.
Just be prepared.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Well, and that's-
okay.
and
So you have to
that's-
reel me back in. I got
No,
sidetracked
that
there.
goes right. I mean, that's right in our business, right? I mean, constantly you're getting, every type of question, and you have to wear a lot of different hats.
Yes.
I'm sure that translates, into your business a lot.
Very good. Thanks for reeling that back in. I tell people that so many times you wear a lot of hats. Marriage counselor, just so many hats that you wear.
Yes, you do.
And back to problem solving, and so many problems pop up, and you need to keep a cool head, and be like, the duck, just really cool. I'm gliding along, but it's craziness is happening underneath, and just learn from your previous experiences. Put that in your fanny pack,
Yeah.
and then when you're ready to, the need arises, you'll be able to pull that out, and use it and apply it.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you look at if we take the fanny pack or the magic center console,
Yeah, it has everything you could need.
everything you need in anticipation, right, of what the client looks like. When you design the client experience, like, tell us about that process. Like, what does that client experience process look like?
What are
So
the small
yeah.
knickknacks
Yeah,
that are
as
in
you
there
start at
that
it,
you
like-
have in there to pull out?
Right. One of the biggest is listen and observe and ask the right questions, and don't feel like you always need to be the person talking. So many times if you sit in front of a seller, I'll use the seller as an example here, and ask them the right questions, in return, they will tell you the answer they want to hear. It may not be the answer that's correct and that you will deliver, but if you listen, they're going to you'll pick up on cues and clues as to how to reply back to them. And so there's different personality types, et cetera, that play into that. But just ask the right questions and listen, and almost to a person, they're going to tell you what their expectations are. I'll ask them straight up, what are your expectations in the transaction?
What's
And-
such a gosh, that's a profound.
What are your expectations?
Yeah, right there.
Simple
Tell me-
question.
Show me how to take care of you.
Right. Because I'm like, hey, I have all my information right here. I've done my homework. I have my estimation of price and marketing and what's happening in the market. I have it all right here, and I've written it down.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like to hear what you have to say. And what are your expectations time-wise and dollar-wise, et cetera, et cetera. There's this thing out there called the internet. You may have played around on it, and you might have an idea of what you feel your home is worth. And if they come in 25% or more of what my numbers are, I know I have some work to do. And you may want to kind of ease into that. Oh, let me show you what's happening in the market, and not just, pop them on the nose and say, you're wrong, I'm right, here it is. So kind of ease into that conversation and ask them, why do you think that? And then again, listen. It also works when you're negotiating with another agent. People hate silence. Many people like hearing their own voice. And if you ask the right questions, then if you're quiet and really listen to the way they're delivering and what they're saying, and then if you're quiet for just 2 seconds extra, some people just can't take it, and then they keep talking. Loose lips sink ships. So
Right.
you just,
So
you just,
there's an answer. Great.
yeah.
If you're calm and steady, you can really, it allows them to answer their own question, and it allows you to
Right.
just have the solution.
Right. I mean, they are on the other side of the table. You owe the fiduciary to your client, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But also part of that responsibility is shepherding the deal, and or like a captain of the ship. We're all on it together. So let's get to our destination. And as agents, we should work together for the common good of our clients. And obviously not work against our clients, but just be open to the other side and what they have to say. And it can also help you deliver your responses back and forth to them. I learned very early in my real estate career, and this wasn't on me, but it was another agent
who will remain unnamed, or
Yes.
exactly. You know what I'm.
Whatever.
Thank you, anonymous.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I truly believe that she felt that a good negotiator was the one that could talk or the loudest and interrupt the most, and that does not a good negotiator make. To me, it's just listening. I'm actually one of the designations that I feel is extremely important in my business is the master negotiations expert.
Yeah.
And I don't think you need 1,200 letters behind your name. Focus on what you feel is most important to you and your clients and show those off. I don't even know what all those letters mean. Most realtors don't. We know a few of them, but it's like, what is this?
Yeah. So you have a master's in designation of negotiation, you said?
Yes, MCNE. I hope I got that right. Master Communicator Negotiations Expert. I hope I got that right.
Well, that's a really important thing to have. I mean, especially, you do it all day, every day. Why did you want to get that, and how has it helped your business?
That's a great question. It's actually helped me in life. I've learned life lessons that apply to real estate and real estate lessons that apply to real life. In this particular one, the gentleman was a negotiations, the lead negotiator for Procter & Gamble or some huge multinational. So he part of what he would teach is when he would go, let's say, negotiate a deal for them with Japanese clients. Totally different than the way we negotiate. So learning from different cultures, how their expectations and how they negotiate and how they have relationships and build relationships is important to know. One of the, per this gentleman, a lot of times when you come to the closing table, that's when the Japanese would really start negotiating. Because they would feel, I guess the idea was, we got you now. You think you're getting a check or we're signing something. Now we have the power because of your expectations. And so you needed to understand that, right? So just, again, listening and learning from people. One of the things that I've enjoyed the most in my career in real estate and before is with the video company, I had a chance to meet a lot of different people from all over the world and constantly learning from people. Tell me about your culture. Tell me about your job. Or tell me about this. And people appreciate that because, again, they like to talk about themselves, but you're going to learn a little bit more about them that can be helpful to you, if not in that transaction or with that person, later on down the road.
Two powerful questions I've just heard you say. What are your expectations? And tell me about. Those are two super powerful questions to ask.
Oh,
So with a client asking them, what are your expectations? What are you expecting? What are you wanting to get out of this?
Okay.
And then the other part of that, and there were questions I've heard you say or ask, and then that other part would be, tell me about, just engaging with people on those two levels are two powerful questions that elicit either a response about who the client is or what they're looking for, and then the ability to just match up at that point.
Cool.
Those are great questions.
Yes, and again, you need to mirror.
Mm-hmm.
You want to try and mirror, even sometimes if they cross their legs or don't cross their legs. Don't get crazy about it, like do the finger and the look at us. But if there are engineer types, right, you'll be able to ascertain very quickly the type of person that they are. And there's no right, good, perfect person or what have you. But there's on one end, I believe it's the artist type. Whimsical, etc., and then you've got the engineer. And many times you might have both in a marriage, and they're both sitting there at the table, and so you really have to do some fancy tongue work, footwork there.
You have to appeal to both.
That's right. So if I'm speaking to the engineer type, I'm going to numbers, dates, expectations, percentages.
Yes.
Oh, yes. They're like, yes, this is the guy. You might say, I'm in the top 2% of realtors in the Houston area, and I sell X number of homes a year in this many days, and your home, and da-da. I'm like, man, this guy's on it. So, and he's already got a chart or a graph about that. And then if perhaps in this situation, let's say the wife or his partner is more of the artistic type. Oh man, just imagine how it's going to make you feel when
when I'm taking that sign out of the yard because the job's been completed and
they're
we're moving
immaculate.
on to that place. Or describe to me, what does this perfect house that we're looking for look like? What's going to make you feel like when we
what's it feel
find
like?
that house? Oh, they're making a bond.
Mm-hmm.
They're making
Yes,
both of them are making an emotional bond with you. Although the robot type, it's a different
Yeah.
kind of bond.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like the engineering type is almost it's like more emotion in some ways, but it's just focused more on like the analytical like numbers and this
Right.
and that. But yeah, that's really cool. I would definitely say, I mean, I think about I don't really think about negotiation, as much as I probably should, because I mean, mastering negotiation in this industry, it really sets you apart. And having the designation, I mean, I can tell just by speaking with you, you're very slow to speak, quick to listen. We get a little snapshot of how you're working with your clients. Tell us about the generational referral piece of your business, because you set it up in a way that's very, very unique. And whenever we were talking about it, you're like, how could everybody not do this? It was shocking to you, right?
Correct. It goes back to when I first got into real estate. My wife's aunt, who has since passed, but we learned so much from her, Carrie Thomas, that she just said, even if it's a little renter, I built my business off working with renters and then building up from that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a focus of my business now, but I've worked a system to where I still work it within, and I probably close 12 or 14 rental deals a year, but they're going to work within my system. But she said, treat every transaction, treat each person like you're going to work with them again. And if you do, if you treat them with respect, they're going to come back to you. And I recall that there was a very early rental client that we had, and they had some credit issues or some problems, and we gave them some guidance on what they could do to help fix that, and gave them some advice, and said maybe we should pick this up in a few months. So why don't you get those things taken care of? And we took the time to share that kind of information with them before they even purchased a rental with me. They had referred another rental client and a purchase client to me. And it was within a year, then I sold them their first home, and they already provided us with 2 or 3 referrals. So we kept in touch with them. Hey, how's it going? Are you've been paying your bills? Have you been working on your credits? You're right, just checking in.
You're all right.
And people appreciate that. So fast forward to today and everything in between, when I start to build a relationship with a new client, I will tell them straight up, right in the eye. I'll say, listen, I have built my business off repeat and referral business. It is the lifeblood of my business. It's an anchor for my business. And I don't expect that from you. I fully expect that I will earn that from you. So if any time while we're working together, if you feel like I'm not working to earn that from you, let me know. And I'm going to correct course and make sure that you do get that experience, and that you would think of no one else to refer friends, family, or relatives to, and you'll call me back when it's time to sell your home.
I love
And
it.
they say, wow, great, we'll do that. I need to, I can't think of a time when someone has at least verbally come out and said, hey, you're not doing that. I mean, maybe there were times, I'm not perfect. I've made plenty of mistakes, and we can talk about all that too. But just letting them know up front that that their expectation of me is high. So I'm setting. I'm like, here's what you should expect from me.
Yeah.
Up here.
Yeah.
If it comes down here, you let me know.
I love that. So you're nurturing from the beginning, and I think it does earn the right to ask for business later. And if they're not a client right now, you can still, engage with them and maybe find other clients through the process. Do you have an example of a recent time that you've done this?
Oh, a referral.
Like a
generational
generational referral. Like,
I'm
do you have a
I'm
recent
so glad you
example?
asked. It's great. Yes, I can actually think of multiple, I'll call them referral trees. I didn't coin the phrase, but a referral tree
Okay.
that, here's the seed that was planted with that comment 10, 15 years ago, and that tree has grown and branched off to multiple referrals. Currently working with a client that I guess you'd call it a fourth generation referral. So the seed was planted with an initial client years ago, and they gave me repeat business. And then they referred their boss to me, who in turn referred a friend of his, who in turn referred, employee of his, who in turn referred his mother-in-law. So that's branched out, 4 generations, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And the seed that was planted 15 years ago has bore fruit multiple times. This was just one offshoot of the amount of business that this particular client has helped me with or produced for my business.
Wow.
These others were like within a 2-year period, 3 referrals.
Amazing.
Boom, boom, boom.
And it's I think what separates you from what we hear from a lot of just agents that we talk to is that it's the intentional discussion that you are planting the referral seed in that first conversation. I'm here basically to take really great care of you because my business is built on referrals. So there's this implied, I'm going to ask, right? I mean, it's like if I've done a great job taking care of you, then the expectation is you know other people that are like you that I can help as well.
True. And I guess I said I understood that from the beginning. I didn't always practice it from the beginning. So I fell into the trap, I think early on, that I feel a lot of agents do, and it's asking for the referrals at the closing.
Yeah. What does that look like?
That looks like you're standing in the parking lot saying, "Oh, here's my card. Don't forget me." Mm-hmm. And do you know anyone right now that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Oh, no, but I'll remember you. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
And buy without having planted that seed before.
Right.
So that's just
So
that's just kind of like,
you don't even have time to think about it.
no, it's just kind of like throwing the seed on the ground. It's not going to grow.
Mm-hmm.
You need
You
to
have to dig it up,
sow
it, water it,
That's right, and grow it.
grow it. You're like a gardener.
You are. You really are.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and let me just say this: a large portion of my business is repeat and referral clients. I know of several other agents that have taken the referral game to the next level. So
Really?
there's yeah. They say that's all that they do. I don't fully believe them, but you should reevaluate your life. What am I doing with my life? You should reevaluate your business on a yearly basis, on a continual basis, and look back and say, wow. And for many years now, we look back and say, wow, X percentage was referrals. Let's plant some more seeds there. Let's pour some more water on that.
Yeah. This is the good soil.
Yeah.
Right?
And
This is
that's
working.
right. That's right. That's right.
I love that analogy. I think it definitely, it goes to show, it takes time to really, if anyone knows about a tree and how it grows, sometimes you have to, you've got to nurture it. You've got to, sometimes you have to like put a piece of wood up against it so it grows up the right way, or, there's all these different kind of analogies you can take it. But eventually, you find that like, oh, wow, this is really big. You're doing it for a long time. This is getting pretty big.
That's true. Do you know when the best time to plant a tree is?
Well,
Tell us.
20 years ago.
it's,
The second best time is now, right? You can't say, oh, well, I didn't start to ask for referrals 20 years ago or 10 years ago. Start now. I just gave you an example of where within a 2-year period, that was 3 transactions from a relationship. So some trees grow faster than others. You can just keep, I like the analogy you were given, prop it up, you got to prune it.
sometimes you got to prune it, prop it up, whatever that means, and
Sure, yeah.
teach them how to refer again. And
Yeah. Well, setting an expectation at the very beginning of the conversation when you meet, and then asking as you go throughout the process, right? And if you design the process really well, it garners the opportunity to either gain a compliment and ask for a referral. Because if you do a good job at taking care of somebody and it's systematized and organized, they can't help but say, gosh, this was really great, which is such an easy ask at that moment because of the compliment.
True. And you should, right after the transaction, ask for a review through HAR. I was one of the original when HAR first came out with their client satisfaction rating. I was all in, and you have to. If you don't share an email with them once, like, you're out. So that's one of the things I'm proudest of. And when I sit down and I talk with a potential client, potential seller, I say, look, I'm not going to sit here and toot my horn and tell you I'm so wonderful and what have you. I am okay a little bit. I will a little bit. I'll say the one thing that I'm most proud of, and I'll launch into earning their business and earning their referral business, and then I'll point to, look here, at HAR client satisfaction. Every of the good, the bad, and the ugly have to be in there. And currently, I'm at a 4.93 or something out of 5.
Nice.
And that's not 5 reviews. That's hundreds of reviews.
Amazing.
So I say the proof's in the pudding. Because I could sit here and talk a good game, but there's the proof. There's the proof.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if you're doing business for 20 years and you never asked for a review. I mean, that would be, and I honestly, we've been challenged this year to start asking people for reviews and, asking for feedback.
Yeah.
Asking, I mean, you just give them the opportunity to be honest with you. And if you earn the right to ask for business, they're quick to say yes, and they're quick to help support you in what you're doing.
I'm glad you brought up the word feedback because I know this is going to be shocking, but I didn't get every listing I went on an appointment for. It's crazy. I know it's crazy, but but I would always call. I'll say, hey, I appreciated the opportunity to talk with you, and if this doesn't work out for you, please call back. And so I like to leave the door open, not burning bridges, all like that. And then I'll say, please be honest. I want to improve my business. Was there something I could have done differently, or something I didn't say, or something that I said that affected you one way or the other? And be open to their feedback. And if warranted, act on it. But you need to learn from your mistakes. Like Edison, et cetera, multiple examples there. Learn from your mistakes. Move on. Get over it. Yeah, it stings a little bit the first time. Hey, I was better than whoever you hired. Move on. And
Such good insight.
Yeah, you can become stronger from it.
Wow. Because we're so used to always blaming. I think we want to blame the other person, oh, it was them. They are just hard to deal with. Client, they didn't understand me.
Yeah.
But sometimes, when you get feedback, you kind of, it's like looking in the mirror and you're like, wow, maybe I could have said something different, or maybe I talked too much, or maybe I didn't tell them what they wanted to hear or something. You give yourself the opportunity to look at yourself and change.
Yeah, and contrary to popular belief, the customer is not always right. So there's some of those, but yeah, there's little nuggets. Speaking of which, one of the things I wanted to bring up today that I think people could learn from, other realtors could learn from, I believe coming up in the next week or two, Keller Williams is having their family reunion, right? And I was with RE/MAX as well, and so they would have a Texas, one for Texas, and I've listened to all the gurus and taken all the classes, and I have volumes of notes that I've taken from all these experiences. And it's like drinking from a water hose. It's so much that comes at you that the water's going everywhere, and you're still thirsty because it's not sticking with you. So anytime you sit through a class or go to a thing like a family reunion, that type of thing, just find a couple action points. Highlight a few action points from that. There's a few nuggets in there. Pick out the best ones that you feel apply to you and your business or where you want it to be. Act on those. And I know from experience, I would, you come home from those things, or even if it's just a day-long class or whatever, and you're just deer in the headlights. It's so much you don't know what to do, and you end up doing nothing.
Right.
Find a couple nuggets, act on those. So there's a little nugget for you.
Well,
It's a great nugget.
Some other wisdom you shared with us was just about like planning, right? Like how do you look at your calendar for the year? Because I think a lot of people are just directed by their business instead of directing their business and directing their life, quite honestly.
Right. I'm glad you brought that up and you mixed in life and business. This is something that came to me later in my career, and I'm still working at it. I realized about 10 years into my real estate business that there were these things called vacations
What?
that you could
Real estate
take.
agents
So
take
people, you get with your
vacations?
family or friends or both, and you go places and have experiences and have fun. It's what I learned. So they didn't happen as often as I wanted, or I would like the first 10 years because, oh, I can't go in the spring. That's when the business is hottest. Oh, we can't go for a vacation on the weekend because that's when people want to look at homes. And then, so we're taking vacations Tuesdays through Thursdays and all of these things. And one of the nuggets that I picked up from a talk or someplace was someone said, sit down with the year's calendar in front of you and map out your year. And it's amazing. If you put, I'm going to take a vacation here, you guard against it. No, I'm busy. I'm busy. You can work in one vacation, 2 vacations. You work in, I'm going to read a book a month, and then what that book is or will be, and different things that are important. Put important dates on the calendar, and then start building, now okay, I'm going to work around all these. There's plenty of time out there to do all the things. So try that exercise. And then also, that's the wider part, focusing on a day, right? It doesn't need to be necessarily a to-do list, but you should start I take that back. You should end each day with what you want to achieve the next day. Write it down. Then you wake up in the morning, oh, I already know what I need to do, right? So that's off your mind. And then there's your plan, and then devise a plan to move forward with that, and then repeat. Now, I still need to get a lot better in those regards because, these pesky things come up like showings and listing appointments and dentists, and the kids ball game and kind of thing. So you need to, kind of juke and jive where needed, but at least you've gone in with the focus and then prioritize. I know I fall into this trap of doing the easiest things first. There's a great book out there called Eat the Frog.
Right.
And I just love the title. Do the hard things first.
Yes.
Knock them out. Do the hard things first. I used to think, oh, well, I'm going to build up my task muscles. Do these smaller ones. Well, then something comes up, and you didn't really tackle the really important thing.
I love it. Well, I think we've got so many great nuggets from this conversation today. I really
So grateful.
I've learned a lot. Honestly, I think just the analogy of the planting the seed, the referral tree, taking care of your business and being intentional and asking the right questions. And honestly, I'm challenged to grow in negotiating after listening to this. As we finish up the podcast today, with the current market situation and where you see the market going, what is one word of encouragement that you would share with somebody that's feeling fearful, feeling unsure, feeling discouraged? What is an encouragement you would share with them just to wrap our call up today?
Sure. Hang in there. Now, get yourself one of those cat posters, or he's hang in there.
I love it.
But I had the privilege, may not be the right word, but of living through professionally and personally through the in 2008 through 2010,
Crash.
the market crash, right? What we're experiencing now, have been experiencing, will experience. I mean, we don't know necessarily what tomorrow is going to bring, but what I learned from there was so many people got into real estate because they felt it's so easy. I'm just going to get this license and do it it'll be my side hustle. That wasn't even a word back then, but it was going to be my side hustle. But what really happened was you really needed to roll up your sleeves and work extra hard, work twice as hard to make the same amount or less money.
Yes.
And really hone the skills of negotiating, short sales, et cetera, persistence, again, with the short sales, empathizing and sympathizing with people and really listening to what the problem was. Some people were very proud and didn't want to admit maybe that they were behind on their mortgage or what have you. So just letting them know that they could confide in you and let's talk about this and we can work through this, and talk them off the cliff, talk other agents off the cliff, support. You should support other agents. I think if you look at what you're doing for your clients and what you can do for other people in life and in real estate is come from a place of contribution. And just how can I contribute to this situation? And not just how will it benefit me? How can I help that person? Because they're going to remember that. I have multiple clients that have said, man, I remember this thing that you did, or you stuck with us, or what have you. They're not going to remember the big check that you received or didn't receive, or the accolades or what have you. They don't care about that, and you shouldn't either. I've never really, it's a business. You need to look at the numbers, and that's probably a whole different topic for another podcast. But I've always kind of looked at how many transactions, how many people did we help, how many families did we help. And if you look at it that way and not, I just have to hit this number, this dollar figure, the business will continue to come. Yeah. So if it's a rental and you make $1,000, or if it's $1 million property and you make $30,000, to me those were each a transaction that played into my transactional goal. I have a dollar goal each year as well, but if you raise your business and you hit the transactional number, the dollar figure will come.
What a great perspective.
Good wisdom. Yeah, it's the tree. It's the seeds that are planted that create the referral tree. That creates a business that perpetuates itself.
Yeah.
Over 20 years. Right?
20 years this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Congrats. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, hopefully this podcast is a seed planted for the listener, that we all have room to grow. We all have room to, improve what we're already doing. If you enjoyed what you're listening to today, we would love it if you could share it with a friend, share it with someone that needs to hear this message. If you'd like to connect with Jason, we're going to put Jason's information below. Yep. Whether it's you want to collaborate with him, learn from him, work with him, we're going to put information below. But yeah, thanks guys for listening.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Heart of the Real Estate Podcast.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
See
you later.
Thank you for listening to the Heart of Real Estate Podcast. If you found this episode thought-provoking and helpful, do us a favor and share it with 2 of your friends. Also, feel free to leave any comments or reviews. And if you want to learn more about the Mortgage Mike Group, reach out. We'd love to connect.